Morning. Are you coming in then?
Good morning, and what a show we've got lined up for you today. Really have. I'll be serving up a delicious dish of brill with a selection of tapas for singing star Louise Redknapp. Will be here. The one and only Levi Roots will be back as well. He'll be back behind these very hobs, treating us to some more classic Caribbean cooking a little bit later. The brilliant chef Monica Galetti will be here. She'll be dropping by the house, so she's bringing up a brilliant recipe of aubergine with her. A master mixologist, yeah, everybody's favourite first dates barman, Merlin Griffiths will be back as well. He'll be making some incredible cocktails that you've got to try for yourself this summer. And don't miss this week's little masterclass when I'll be teaching you everything you want to know about these very things that are coming out of the oven as well, right on cue. Look at that, the ultimate Yorkshire puddings, that's coming your way as well. But I thought we'd kick things off today, not with those Yorkshire puddings, that's coming up a little bit later, but I'll be showing you a recipe for caramel and ginger baked Alaska that I'm going to make with some very special ice cream in a second. So the first thing we're going to do is, for our baked Alaska, is concentrate on our meringue. Now, our meringue comes in the form of this. So whatever meringue you decide to make, and I say decide to make, there's different ways of making a meringue. There's things called hot meringue, there's cold meringue, there's boiled meringue, there's Italian meringue, there's Swiss meringue. There's loads of different ways to actually incorporate the sugar into the egg whites. But this is a classic sort of Italian meringue. So if I was doing anything like baked Alaska, or if I was doing lemon meringue pie, that kind of stuff, this is the way that I would make it. So in there, we've got water and I've got sugar. Now, what we can do is take our egg whites. The thing about meringue is you've got to make sure there's no egg yolks in here, but also there's no grease. So meringue will be affected by grease. The bowl needs, and water. So make sure this is nice and dry, and make sure the egg whites have got no egg yolks in there. That's the key to it. I say egg yolks because that's where the fat is, and you get it won't whisk up enough. So then what you want to do is then heat this up. Now, the more water you add into this, the longer it takes for that water to disappear, because what you're after is this temperature is quite crucial for this. So once it's rapidly boiling like this, then we can start off and start to whisk up our egg whites. Some people say you can put a little pinch of salt in there, a little pinch of sugar. It's entirely up to you, but I started off with this, because then we can turn our attention to the temperature. Now, on a sugar thermometer, this is a sugar thermometer that you use for making jams as well, which is quite appropriate for what we're going to talk about in a minute with the fruit. You'll have different temperatures. It goes all the way up, you can see that, to 200 degrees. While you're looking at the temperatures, you get different sort of textures as the sugar starts to boil. And you can see as it starts to heat up, it goes from boiling all the way up, goes to what we call soft ball, hard crack, caramel, all around that kind of stuff. You want this thing called soft ball, which is about there. So looking at this is about 100 and, what's that, 117, 118, something like that. Look at the centigrade the other side. That's what we're looking at on here. Now, you can use this, or you can use the modern version, which is a normal thermometer. But this is the crucial bit. The temperature is really, really important for this. So you can see I'm almost there with this. It doesn't take very long. You can see we're almost there with this thing called soft ball. Then we can take this and then pour it onto the egg whites. And you do this in a thin stream. While the mixture's whisking, you can hear the machine drop down a gear as it starts to thicken. We gradually pour this into a thin stream onto our egg whites. You can hear it. Hear the machine just drop down? Now, what this is doing is cooking the egg whites. You've got to put this in a thin stream, otherwise it tends to cook it in a big lump. And we keep whisking that now until it starts to cool down. That is your classic Italian meringue. Now, this sauce. If we're talking of the summer, I want you to try this sauce. If there's one thing I want you to try, as well as the Yorkshire puddings, of course, this summer, I need you to try this sauce, because this is just epic. And it starts off with a weird mixture of ingredients, so just bear with me on this. You must use goat's milk. Now, it sounds really weird. It doesn't work with cow's milk. It doesn't work with sheep's milk. It's got to be goat's milk. So goat's milk goes into our pan. Then we take some golden syrup. So what this is a caramelized cinnamon sort of sauce. But it starts with this combination of golden syrup, goat's milk, like that, sugar. This is the weird thing, baking powder. And you put the baking powder in it. Now, the important bit is you do this in a big pan. The issue that you've got with baking powder, the minute you start to heat it up, it will expand. And to be fair, you'll spend most of the summer cleaning your hob. Because if this goes everywhere, it just goes everywhere and it goes really sticky and horrible. But the flavour comes from this, cinnamon. And you must use cinnamon sticks. It doesn't work with powdered cinnamon. And what you want to do is just bring this to a gentle simmer. And I say gentle simmer because that baking powder is going to start to work. As it starts to work, it's going to puff up. And as it puffs up, we need the surface area of the pan, otherwise it just boils over. Keep whisking it and gently, gently cook this. So, as I say, keep whisking it, gently cook it, and the colour, after about 30 minutes, you end up with this amazing, rich, cinnamony sauce. Look at this. This is what the colour goes like after about 30 minutes. But I'll show you what will happen on here when you start to boil it up, if you're not keeping your eye on it. So while we've got the meringue happening, we've got the sauce over here. I'm going to finish this off with a little bit of ginger. We've got our nice little sponge. We're going to go over via the power of the internet to find out where this amazing ice cream comes from over here. We're heading to Needham Market in Suffolk to speak to Stephanie Hardingham from Aldertree. I can see you there, Stephanie. You're not in a bar. Whereabouts are you? Tell us what you're in, because I'm loving what you've converted.
It's a 1967 Morris ambulance.
Of course it is.
Health Authority, and we converted it into an ice cream van.
Of course it is, which is perfect for this time of year as well. Now tell us about how this all started. This wasn't a company, you're an ice cream company. This all stems from your family on your farm.
Yes. Well, my grandparents were fruit farmers in Suffolk, and my parents, after going off to university and doing various things, decided to set up a pick-your-own-fruit and vegetable farm whilst raising their family. And in 1989, they had a bumper crop of raspberries, more than they knew what to do with. They were already making jam, selling it from their own farm shop here at Aldercar, and decided to borrow grandmother's recipe and have a go at making her ice cream, which had a really, really high fruit content. So we don't need to supplement with any flavourings or colourings or anything else as well. The fruit just sings itself.
So what were you doing before this then? Because you weren't involved in the farm at one point. You decided to give up what you were doing, and then this is now your full-time business. So what were you doing before then? Yeah. Well,
I went off to university and studied environmental science up in Sheffield, and then I went down to London to do a business environment masters, and worked in London for a few years as an environmental consultant. But kind of got a bit tired of producing reports that you think people will just sit on the shelf and not really achieve very much. And I thought what I'd like to do is run my own sort of ethical, sustainable business. Spent a bit of time thinking about what and where, and then really surprised my parents by suggesting I come back to Suffolk, back to the family farm, and develop this part of the business, because they were so busy. It was only quite small at that stage. So I worked on the branding and the flavours, and we got a national wholesaler, and we've got quite an exciting contract coming up this summer as well. So we're going to be across the country shortly.
Well, it is. I mean, it all comes from the amazing taste of the fruit as well, and keeping that original recipe. That's the key. You promised me you won't change this as you start to increase the quantities you've got in here, because I've got the raspberry one here, which I've tried. I'm diving into. I mean, the rhubarb one is just epic. That's amazing.
Thank you.
This is the key to it, is using the fruit, the quality of the fruit at its base. That's the key to it, isn't it?
Yeah. So we grow the fruit ourselves, and the rest comes from 2 local farms within 20 miles with people that we've worked for 20 plus years. So you really know exactly what's going in it. And we use the whole fruit. We chop, we cook, we do everything ourselves from scratch. And it really shows.
Well, hopefully I'm going to do this justice, because I know you've got your eye on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the whole idea of baked Alaska. You can do this with a sponge and that kind of stuff, but I've got a sponge as its base. I'm just going to simplify this, really, because most people think baked Alaska, it's hugely complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated, because you've got all these amazing flavours. Bit of the raspberry, bit of the damson one, But what I love about this is that the fact that you've got the cinnamon and the ginger with the rhubarb as well, and you can just pile it on like that. So you just, maybe not looks impressive at the moment, but you can then, well, it looks good, I know it looks good, but you can just pop this all over like that. And then you've got this Italian meringue, and this is the key to it. You can see it's really, really firm. That's what you want with this Italian meringue. And this is perfect for things like this. It's perfect for lemon meringue pie, that kind of stuff, but don't be frightened with putting plenty on it to start with. And you just put it over the top. So this is where we can then taste it while we're at it.
I'm intrigued.
Exactly. Well, it'll all work out in a minute, but... And then I can just spread this. You don't... With this, though, you don't need to be too perfect at the moment. So when you're doing this, just do it quite roughly, first of all, like that. It may appear like a mess at the moment, but I've got some that I've got in a piping bag, which I've just put in a piping bag. And at this moment now, we can then go up and down with this. So you can take your piping bag and fill it all in.
I've never seen it served like this, but I wish I could try it.
But look, you just pipe it up and down like that, and it fills in the rest. But this Italian meringue just holds, and then you can grab
It's really
a little
thick,
bit of this.
isn't it? Yeah.
It's really thick, like that, and then you put that on there. Probably don't do that. It looks like something a dog's left behind in a park, that bit. And then you can take your... Now, in amongst your ice cream, I've put some of this ginger with it, but you can do it on the outside as well. And then you go over. Now, classically, you would bake this in the oven, of course. If you're going to do that, pop it on a little bit of greaseproof paper.
How long would you bake it for?
Well, you bake it for exactly 20 seconds with this thing. But I would bake it for about 5 minutes, really. Nice hot oven, it'll start to colour nicely, but you get much more control over using something like this. It can set on fire if you're not careful with a blowtorch, but just keep your eye on it. And then you've got your nice little bit of ginger, which we can... I mean, I know you've got the ginger ice cream as well, which is amazing with the rhubarb, but I think with the...
Yes, yeah, we use stemmed ginger in the ice cream as well.
Stemmed
So
ginger
that'll
in
go
syrup,
well.
as you know, I just think it's just delicious. And you can take some of this ginger and just place it as and when you want all over, like that. But don't forget, you've got that and a combination of the sauce that you've got with it as well. Now, I've been diving into what we got over here. I've got to say congratulations on these amazing awards. You've got one that's in there. It looks like a beer tap that you've got in the ambulance as well. But what started out life as an amazing idea, you've gone on to achieve so much in so many different awards as well. You must be so chuffed to bits that you're continuing to do that.
Yes, it's absolutely fantastic. We've had so many awards over the years, and it's just brilliant for the whole team here to have all their hard work recognised, really, and being on your show as well.
Well, I wish you all the very best of luck with it, and we're just going to finish by taking this little sauce that we have over here, and then this is where you can take your nice little sauce, and this can go around it. This is this cinnamon and, weirdly enough, goat's milk sauce. But this, I expect to see this for sale on your ice cream van with those cones. You can sprinkle this over the top. But this goes delicious with your ice cream. So there we have it, my version.
You just have to try not to boil it over.
Exactly. So there you have it, my version of a baked Alaska using this amazing ice cream. Easy as that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Bye.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Right, still to come, we've got an unmissable masterclass in Yorkshire pudding, and I'll be joined in the house by singer Louise Redknapp. That's coming up very shortly, but I'll see you again after the break. We'll be trying to answer some of your culinary queries with a little help from Levi Roots and Monica Galetti. I'll see you in a bit. Where do you start with that? Welcome back. Now I'll be cooking a first course of brill for singer Louise Redknapp very shortly, and I'll be giving you a little masterclass in Yorkshire puddings with onion gravy. That's coming up later on this morning. But before that, I'm joined in the kitchen with two of my guests this morning. It's the brilliant Levi Roots and Monica Galetti. And Monica, welcome to Hampshire as well. Well, both of you welcome to Hampshire as well, because I know you love the Shires as well.
I love the Shires,
exactly.
Yes.
So what are you going to be cooking for us today, Monica?
Today I'm going to be cooking an aubergine dish for
Right.
you. So plant-based, it's a twist on something from the restaurant, but easily doable at home.
Easily doable. What
Yes.
are you going to follow that with?
Well, I'm going to follow something what I call footy food. Or
Footy food?
Footy food that us blokes love to eat while we're watching the football.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be doing Jamaican patties.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Was that a pastry base or how?
Pastry base, yeah, we're doing a fish one and a vegetable one as well.
Okay, sounds pretty good to me. Looking forward to that one. Now, Levi and Monica will be taking over the kitchen a little bit later on the show. So, first of all, I thought I'd take a look at some of the dishes you've been cooking at home, as usually we do this. So first up, we've got a photograph from JP Colback, who made his own butter. Look at this. Your own butter, your own garlic butter. And if you think this was good,
Fancy.
he then transformed it into chicken Kiev.
Oh,
How good does that look?
Amazing.
I remember doing a little masterclass on chicken Kievs as well. I remember you've got that little leftover bits of chicken to use as a little plug to go in there to stop the butter from oozing out. But it's perfect there. And since we've got Merlin on the show and making cocktails, this one's from Paul Reedshaw. Has been hard at work making his own mojito cake. I quite fancy a mojito. That sounds pretty
I definitely
good.
won't be drinking that. I want to eat that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, talking of this one, finally, as we get ready for summer, top marks this week goes to Lucy Wilson from just down the road in Winchester for these, her tropical
yes.
cupcakes.
Yes, I want to wear that.
You want to wear that?
you would look good in that. I think we both would. Good earrings as well.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Proper plate of food. Proper food. There you go. Now, as well as your photographs, we've had loads of questions on food and cooking. So I thought, seeing as these two are here, we'd have a go at answering the few of them. So think of this as like question time for cooks.
Yeah.
So I've got to get serious now. I've got to put my glasses on for this one because we've got loads of questions over here. First of all, we've got Robert Shaw. How do I make rice fluffy? Every time I make it, it goes sticky.
Yeah, what means it's an easy one for me. Fluffy rice needs a little bit more water.
Yeah.
If you put less water in it, it comes out dry and separate. And some people do actually like it like that. But if you want it fluffy, add a bit more water in it, it comes out nice and fluffy.
Yeah. A lot of people wash it as well beforehand.
Yes, they do wash it. And I also like to put a lid on it after it's come up to boil and then gently simmer until it's completely cooked through.
There you go. You've got two answers to the question there. Stacey Osmond's got any suggestions of great recipes how to use cheaper cuts of meat? So take, for instance, chicken thighs. I love chicken thighs.
Yeah.
You must
Yeah,
have to,
absolutely. It's the best part of the chicken.
Yeah.
I think stir fry is a great way to go. You chop it up in pieces and get to use it. And the thigh, I think, is one of the best parts of the chicken, personally.
And, of course, mince as well now. You can do
Mincing
with
it down, doing your own burgers with it, especially in the summer for barbecues.
Don't use burger meats that've got too much fat content, would you say? Because it can cause a bit of a nightmare on the barbecue.
Absolutely. It'll set it on
Exactly.
fire.
Right. What meaty barbecue suggestions you've got that aren't burgers, sausages and kebabs? That comes from Steve Faha. Any ideas for that one?
Well, I think plant-based people will tell you that says you should be mentioning plant-based type burgers for this kind of reason. So I would go for that for a plant-based type.
You're doing aubergines as well. Aubergines on the barbecue.
I'm doing
is delicious.
aubergines on the barbecue are fantastic, but, big portobello mushrooms as well, are wonderful. It's a nice filling.
And also jackfruit is another great one that's in season at the moment. Everyone loves jackfruit.
And I
in a
cooked a
burger.
whole cucumber. If you take whole cucumbers, you don't need to put the skins out. You take the whole and you put it into the coals. And you cook it until the skin blackens like that, and you scrape off the skin and chop up the cucumber. It's amazing in salads and with burgers and bits and pieces like that. There you go. Whole cucumbers, there you go. Right, what is your favourite produce this time of year this summer has to offer in the UK? Sally?
Strawberries.
Strawberries, I've got it.
Yes, I've got to go for the strawberries.
I think I'll go for strawberries as well, yeah.
You
I
can't
love a
make-
good strawberry.
You see, mine would be raspberries from Scotland, because I think Scottish raspberries are some of the best fruit in the
Absolutely,
world. They
I
are
agree.
absolutely amazing. So,
And the best strawberries is the one that you pick yourself.
Got my plants in, have you?
It depends where you live, whether you live in the Shires or you live in central London. On your windowsill, the birds or the pigeons will get it. Right, there we go. Another one over here. Angela Lewis, where are really good farmers markets that chefs like to visit? Farmers markets. We're going to talk about central London for
London for farmers markets.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a bit tougher in central London.
Yeah, it is. I always like to quote the Shires when I come to farmers market. And that's where I started out, you know. I remember the days going back into these lovely farmers market in the countryside and finding real, fresh, organic food. And I think that's the best
If you were looking for Caribbean food, where would you go? Where do you go for in London? Where
to the Caribbean.
You can't get it the same?
Actually, Brixton Market.
Right.
Brixton Market would be a fantastic place to get Caribbean food.
There we go. I tell you what, that wasn't bad, was it, really?
It wasn't bad. It was terrible.
Harmless, is it? Harmless. There we go. Right, these two will be cooking for us a little bit later on this morning. And first States barman Merlin Griffiths will be back, mixing up some amazing summery cocktails for us very shortly. But see you back here in a few minutes. We'll be serving some baked brill. I'm going to cook it on the bone with ratatouille and courgette fries for singer Louise Redknapp. That's coming up next. I'll see you after the break. Welcome back. Now, Levi Roots and Monica Galetti will be showcasing their amazing skills in the kitchen a little later, and barman Merlin Griffiths will be back. He's mixing some amazing, beautiful cocktails that you've got to try this summer. But first, I'm here with a woman who rose to fame in one of Britain's most successful girl bands before going solo to huge success and starring in roles in the West End stage as well. It's the brilliant Louise Redknapp! First of all, welcome back.
No, good to be back.
Because you're busy, so I know you're extremely busy at the moment. You're in the West End as well at the moment.
Yeah, West End in Greece at the Dominion. So it's very different to anything I've ever done before.
Hey,
so
you've done lots of stuff on the West End we're going to talk about as well. And celebrating 30 years as well in the industry.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I know.
So we're going to... We're basically... I know, cooking-wise, you don't get much time to cook. You cook for the kids.
I mean, we've talked about this. I use that as an excuse. I'm just the most unnatural cook there is.
OK. Well, I know you... look, I'm going to show you. So I know you love your Mediterranean. You're not telling me why. I don't know. So, for this, I'm going to use brill. Now, wherever possible, try and get fish on the bone, particularly a fish like this. So, to simply cook it, take a little bit of oil in the pan and just pop the fish in.
OK.
And we're going to pop that in. I'm going to leave the skin on as well. So, as well as keeping it on the bone, we try and leave the skin on. Because the skin protects it, but the bone keeps it nice and moist. So we get a little bit of colour on that. Bit of seasoning, salt and pepper. And then we're going to add some garlic, some thyme and everything else and just simply roast this in the oven. So this is going to go in. Good knob of butter that we got in here.
Oh, the butter.
You've got to do even though this is... You know you've been here before.
I know, there's a lot of butter.
Yeah, well, there's not a lot of butter. It's just a little bit in there. touch of... you need this for your exercise, you see. You're on stage all this time. A little bit of fresh thyme. A little bit of garlic, which we'll just crush. And basically, that's your simple little flavour to go in your fish. You get a beautiful, beautiful smell. You get this gorgeous... Don't be frightened to put lots of moisture in it.
Lots of butter in.
Yeah, well, no, there's half butter, half oil.
Yeah.
And then we're going to then turn this over like that. You see, you've got a glorious bit of colour on it.
Wow.
Like that. Lovely. Then what we can do, a bit more seasoning on the top. There we go. And then this goes in a really hot oven. This is going to take about 5 to 6 minutes to cook. So
looks good
in the
already.
same pan, put it in the oven, forget about it.
Oh, you put it in the oven?
Yeah.
So we don't leave it on the hob?
No.
Why do we do that?
Because it's going to take about 15 minutes on the hob. It takes 5 minutes in there.
OK.
And then you can then concentrate on doing
other things.
This, which is your ratatouille. Easy
OK.
Yeah.
Got
Make sure your pan's not got a plastic handle. That doesn't bode well for the rest of the day. But that's And then the ratatouille over here, we've got some onions, we've got garlic. This is the key to it. We've got peppers, we've got courgettes, we've got aubergines and tomatoes. Now, they've all got to be done in sequence. So the idea is to chop everything up evenly first, and then we'll add it on sequence. So everything's not a load of mush at the end of it. But I want to talk to you about everything that you've been doing. 30 years, you're celebrating 30 years in the industry by bringing out a new album.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like a bit of a greatest hits album, but with lots of newness. I think sometimes when you
Lots of newness?
Newness, yeah.
Okay.
Is that a word?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. Is that a word? So I've got all the original sort of old hits on there, but I've also got brand new tracks, re-recorded a lot of the old originals and re-recorded a lot of the eternal hits.
Yeah.
So it's... that's the newness. So there's old songs, new songs, and new versions of everything. A lot going on this album.
So tell everybody about Eternal, because that moment, that time that you sort of launched that together, A lot of it, this nowadays is sort of shows like the X Factor and stuff like that. Wasn't around then. You did your rounds in terms of the industry. It's notoriously difficult, is the music industry. I often find that.
Yeah, I mean, when Eternal started out, it was back in the day where, you know, we were lucky enough to get a recording contract, but it was there wasn't social media. You kind of, we were lucky. We signed to a big label and we sort of had good music there. But the way of promoing it was, you know, in the back of a van, travelling literally around the world, you know, whatever country you was in, from nightclub to TV to bar to nightclub, and just, I don't know, most probably took us 18 months, I think, to promo just the very first song, which was
you went global. I mean, it went stratospheric. What was that like for you?
Do you know, I think when you're in it, it's so strange. So many people sort of say, back then, did you realise how big Eternal was? And I think we were selling, like, in the millions of albums, which doesn't really happen today. But it's when you're in it, I think we were so young and we just was working it every day. So our reality was get up, all together, you know, go, promote, record. So you're not... And I think the days were different then, that people only really saw your real life very, very rarely. So it was all work-based. So it was records that, you know, the record label would put out pictures. There wasn't sort of that world of social media, packs, that whole world of...
I suppose you had to go out. You had to go out and promote it, didn't you?
Yeah, it was the only way of doing it. But at the same time, you still had a huge amount of privacy in your downtime. So you never really saw what was going on outside of your work life. So it's only...
I want to go back before that. I want to go back to... And this is what it's amazing when you do research on somebody, whether this is right or not. When you nowadays, you've got Google now, you can help you as well. Going back to when you were a young kid, you got signed by the Italia Conti School, scholarship, 11 years old.
Yeah, I was 11.
How did that come about?
Do you know, I went to a very normal school, went singing and dancing. I had an amazing mum, who's obviously here today, who used to take me...
Mother's here today,
Mother's here.
Yes, mother here today. Yeah.
She doesn't want to go to many shows, but yours she really wanted to come to, so... Bless her. No, so I was very lucky. She dedicated a lot of time me going singing, dancing, went to a gorgeous little comprehensive
Was that something
school.
your parents wanted you to do, or is that something that you wanted to do?
Something I was singing and dancing from the minute I was allowed to sing and dance. You know, the minute I was old enough to go to dance class, then luckily my mum took me. I was lucky. My mum gave up a lot of time, her own time, to, you know, 4 nights a week I was doing a bit of everything. I even went to elocution lessons because I was from South London. She said it was really important that you can talk nicely. So that was at a really young age. Yeah. Like, cheers, Mum.
So, look, we've got on here, I'll just recap what we've got in here. We've got the onions have gone in here with the garlic. And I said, when you're doing ratatouille, you do it in layers. Rather than throw everything, everybody throws everything in, puts a lid on it and stews it for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Fatal mistake, you've ruined it already.
Okay.
So it's all about layering it up as we go. So you've got the courgettes, everything's got a cooking time with it. So you do it in sequence, and then at the end of it, then you've got the aubergine. Now, aubergines are classed as hybrids, so there's no need to add any salt to it. They don't need to, the bitterness had been grown out of them anyway. So you used to, back 30 years ago, you used to soak them, stuff like that. So in we go with the tomatoes. Like that, so you've got all this amazing flavour. And then we're going to finish that off with some basil and a little bit of chilli. I don't know what you like with chilli. Are you all right with chilli?
I'll give anything a go.
OK, a little bit of chilli.
I'm just grateful to have some proper food.
Just grateful to be here and have some grub, you know?
Yeah.
Look, we just got a little bit of chilli, which I'm going to fire in at the last minute, and we've got some basil. The whole idea of it is we just bring all this lot together now, and it's going to take about 2 or 3 minutes to cook as well. So tell us about the album then, because... You know, from doing it for this amount of time, nearly lost a courgette there. For doing about this amount of time, is it difficult to pick, or do you then have not just your favourites, but I guess you've got to feed the fans' favourites as well. You've got to give them what they want as well. Yeah,
I think on choosing the songs that I re-recorded out of sort of my songs and the Eternal songs, I did go for the hits. You know, the songs that I think people either remind them of a time in their life or the ones that were really popular back then. So, yeah, in a way, I think the fans do dictate what songs you should put on a greatest hits. And then because I put some new songs on there, that was really nice. I got to actually... I went and wrote and recorded and chose 5 of those to go on the album.
So here we are. This is you in action, promoting the new album. Check this out. I can't chop that quick, to be honest with you.
Good job.
But it puts a smile on your face, doesn't it, really? Because you know, it brings back so many memories for you, even though you're redoing it.
Yeah, it does. And that song was 30 years ago. And I still love that
really?
song. 30 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, and obviously when I was in Eternal, Esther was our lead singer. So I felt a little bit of pressure re-recording the Eternal songs because the girls are so incredibly talented. I was like, I hope I don't let you down, girls, but I'm giving this a go. So, yeah, it was just nice to sing it and just do it again.
Because people have seen you on stage recently when you did the reunion. What was that like when you're doing that back again?
Yeah, do you know, I think for me, performing and singing and the West End's great, but my real love and where such a huge part of my career really was in music. And sort of what comes with music and performing is the studio time as well, and just getting the whole creative process that is such your baby. So when you're making a new album, it becomes kind of for a sort of period of your life, it becomes everything. You know, every thought, you wonder if you should write it down. It's telling your story in a way. So
well, you did that. I mean, we got the courgettes. These are going in here. So this is the classic courgettes. I'm doing this slowly because I know your mum's watching this, so she can check this out as well. But look, these here. I feel under pressure now when I've got this.
I know.
But we got in here our courgettes, which you put in the milk. And then in the flour, but in the flour I've just got a little bit of fresh thyme in there as well.
Can you do that if you haven't got a frying machine?
A frying machine? Do I have to go back to real basics with this?
Possibly.
If you haven't got a frying machine?
Well, one of those things.
Right, tell you what I'm going to do. While your mother's diving into most of my sort of cellar, I will get you a fryer as a present from me to you.
Shut up.
No, you can have a fryer
Next
from
time
me.
I'm on, I'll be like...
No, you're not. It's not going to get it now.
everything.
You're not having this one. I need this one. But I'm going to send you a fryer.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to send you a fryer.
Amazing, thank you.
You probably never use it,
I
but I'm
will.
going to send you a fryer.
I bet you I do.
Well, I'm going to send...
I'm going to Instagram
I'm going to send you one as well.
I'm using my fryer. But on a serious note, do you need a frying machine?
Well, you do to deep fry courgettes, technically, yeah.
Because I love fried courgettes.
Well, you can do this thing called an air fryer. It's become really trendy, but I just...
Yeah, this is... So what... I haven't got one of those either.
I haven't got one of those either.
Oh, so this is better?
Yeah, just use a fryer.
OK.
Yeah. In we go with some fresh basil. But there's your nice little ratatouille. Just going to... Almost ready to serve this. Here's your courgettes.
The fried courgettes, loving it.
The fried courgettes in the fryer thingy.
In the fryer thingy.
And the frying machine. And then you want some salt. So you want some salt over the top. Like that. Plenty of salt over the top.
So they were really easy to do, wasn't
Really
they?
easy. And then what you do is you take some lemon zest.
I always order these if I'm in a posh restaurant.
In your posh restaurant?
Yeah.
There you go. You can cook them at home. You don't need a posh restaurant, you see. So then you've got these, which you can pop into a little basket like that.
Oh, lovely.
Those are your little fried courgettes. And then our fish. So I've got this to one side. So our ratatouille's done.
Yeah.
And then you've got the fish. Look. This is amazing. This is amazing. So this is the key to finishing off this fish.
OK.
So once you've roasted it off like that, you can then take a little squeeze of lemon over the top. And then what you do is you'd use the remaining gubbins in the pan. The pan is switched off now. And we baste this over the top.
You make it look so easy and tasty and...
To be fair with you, the oven doesn't work. And Brian Turner's out the back there running around like a complete nutcase. There's no back to the oven. It's just in the back through this other side of the wall, but I wish. But the cooking of it, it's like anything, you know. I'm in a band, and I remember going to a festival, and you guys were on the festival, and we're on sort of 2 hours before, and I remember bricking it, where you guys just do it, and it's just...
No, I get really nervous.
Yeah, but you did look as if you were nervous.
Honestly, before I go on stage, I literally, my heart pumps, and it doesn't matter how many times I've been on stage. I could have been on stage 3 times that week, and I get the same sort of like, you know, nervousness every time. I don't think it ever goes away.
Well, you didn't look as if you were. But look, we're just going to take our nice bit of fish like this, and we take... Now, you can either have this skin on or skin off, and you just peel the skin off.
Right.
Like that. So that comes off. It protects the fish, but with stuff like brill and everything else like that, you don't really want to have it. But it's nice and simple. There we have it. You can take a little bit of this gubbins as well. Roast brill with homemade ratatouille. And you've got...
I'm not sure I've had brill before, actually.
Well, that's right. And then you've got deep-fried courgettes in the deep fryer thingy. That's what it is. Done.
Deep fryer thingy.
There we have it.
Fab.
Roast brill, ratatouille with
Amazing.
fried courgettes. Tell me what you think. But there's just a bit that you just have. This really meaty.
I've got Ralph looking at me.
Well,
Ralph, I'll give you some in a minute, I promise.
It's
literally.
amazing fish.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's so good. Happy with that?
So happy.
Good starter.
Yeah, is this my starter?
Yeah, exactly. You've got tapas to come a bit later as well.
Love it.
There you go. And like I said, I'll be making tapas dishes for Louise at the end of the show. And I'll be giving you a masterclass in Yorkshire pudding with onion gravy. That's coming up later as well. But join us again after the break when a good friend of ours on the show and mine, Levi Roots, will be here rustling up some amazing Caribbean fish and veg patties. I'll see you after the break. Welcome back. And now coming up, we'll be giving you a step-by-step guide to making the perfect Yorkshire pudding in this week's little masterclass. And I'll be serving up a selection of tapas dishes for Louise Redknapp a little bit later. But first, I'm going to roll my hands up for this one, the sleeves up for this one. I think I'm going to need it because I was joined in the house by Monica Galetti as well. And together, we're going to be enjoying a taste of the sunshine from a man whose personality lights up any room that he's in, especially at this house. It's a great friend of the show. Levi Roots, everybody! Yeah! Right, Mr. Roots, what are we going to do then? Because this is from your hometown. What is
it? It is indeed, and when you asked me to come, and I know that we're thinking about Father's Day and about that kind of stuff, and I thought I'm going to come with my A game once again and do something what I like to call footy food.
Footy food.
Which is the food that us blokes love to eat and while we're watching the football and having a pint of Guinness or something like that. It is the greatest Caribbean fast food that there is.
So I've seen these. You can get these on stalls all around the Caribbean as well. You just pull along and you see these on the side.
You see them, yeah. And you go into and you ask for a Jamaican patty and you just go like this after, yes. Because it's like that. And patties is actually a version of the Cornish pasty. It was brought to Jamaica by Lord Falmouth, who was the governor of Jamaica back in the day, way back in the day. Yeah. And he introduced the Cornish pasty to Jamaica. And of course, Jamaica did what they're good at, which is dub things up, which is change things up.
Dub things up,
Dub things up, yeah. Dubwise, a dubwise version of the Cornish pasty.
So you're going to make a vegetable version?
I'm going to make a vegetable version, and you're going to be doing a smoked fish.
So we want to do the pastry first of all, which is flour.
So if you go ahead and do the pastry for me very carefully, because the pastry is going to be perfect. Because in patties, pastry is one of the main things. So I blanch these for 5 minutes. Everything is going to be blanched, just cooked in a little bit in there. And once they cook, I'm just going to add in.
Now, looking at you, I thought I was going to be bling with just one bracelet.
Yeah.
I mean, what happens to you when you go through customs?
I know.
If you can imagine stuck behind you, it'd take you half an hour to take them all off.
Well, I think my fame has actually allowed me when I now get into the airports. They said, "Oh, go ahead, Mr. Roots, you're fine."
All right, you're now... Because a little birdie told me you knew you were famous until you went back to the Caribbean and you were at a toll booth.
Yes, yeah.
Was that the moment you knew you were famous?
It was the famous. I'm going through this toll booth and this lady looks down at me and the people in toll booth are normally people that don't watch TV, they don't do anything, they don't know anyone famous. And I'm just about to pay my few dollars to go through the toll booth and she's looked down at me and she says, "Hang on there, are you the pepper man from England?" Pepperman from England. And I just accepted that and says yes. And I just drove with it and said yes. I'll accept the Pepperman from England.
Did you still have to pay the toll though?
I did, yeah.
You didn't just wave you through.
They don't mess about with that, yeah. But the Pepperman from England. And I suppose it's great when you come from some place and then when you return back, you're welcome. So I'm always grateful for that kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely amazing. So, I go with the yellow cheese.
When you go to the Caribbean, food is such an essential part of life.
Yeah,
as well as food and music those two combinations.
Yeah, absolutely. It's life itself, and I suppose that's how I managed to merge these two things, which was the two most passionate things to me. My mom always said to me when I was younger, do a job that you're passionate about. Because if you do something you're passionate about, you'll never feel like you work a day in your life. And I've had such a great time. I don't feel like it's work, you know, it's just absolutely inspirational.
Because you still managed to combine the love of food and music as well at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, it's the inspiration, isn't it? What I managed to do with my sauces and my business is to merge these two passions together and give. I could have named the sauce anything. I could have named it like Levi Roots' grandmother's hot Scotch bonnet pepper sauce.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have the ring with it, but reggae sauce, it has the ring, it has that music and food vibes to it. But I think one thing the Dragons, they invested in, it wasn't the sauce, it was silly old Levi.
It comes down to doing stuff that you said about, something that you love, and you can tell that you love your job, you love the food, you love your music.
It's passion, it really is passion.
So, anyway, we've got our pastry over here, which I've just basically rolling out, which I've just left...
okay, cool. And I've got my vegetables all mixed up here with a little bit of coriander at the top. The yellow cheese is going to give it a nice, lovely flavour. I mean, you can use any cheese. I mean, it's vegetables here. You can use vegetarian cheese if you want.
Yeah. Now, you're using smoked haddock for the other one.
Yeah.
So you can explain to what the recipe is.
Haddock, okay. Any fish will do. It doesn't have to be smoked haddock, so you can use saltfish, codfish, and anything that you want.
Swordfish.
To do swordfish, anything. But the key thing here is to fry off your fish in the milk.
Nice.
Take out the fish and keep the milk because you're going to need the milk in a little bit later on. And then I would fry your onions in the butter and then slowly add back the milk.
Cooking milk.
Yeah, to make it just nice and thick up and everything like that. And then you ended up with that. But before that, you had your green peas in, your frozen peas in. Create a bit of lime zest in there and a bit of red pepper, and you end up with something like that for the fish version.
Now, we've got Louise Redknapp's here at the show. I'm sure you've been sort of having a chat with her about...
I was, and I was thinking to myself...
She's appearing in musicals. Was this about you writing a musical?
Yes, I just wrote my own musical, James, and I can't believe it. I've got to say, Lord of mercy. I was thinking to myself earlier in the year, I want to do something different, and I thought I could write a play. I feel like I could do it. So I got a pen together on a paper pad. Before I knew it, I wrote a musical. And now we're launching in Fringe.
I
We're
love
launching
that.
in Edinburgh Fringe Festival in August.
That's
Can't believe
genius.
it.
and why not, you know?
I just think it's fantastic. I mean, but you take that with everything you do. I remember last time you were here as well, I spoke to you beforehand as well. You feel that everything is possible for you.
Well, you know, you've got to do it that way. And as I said, once you do something that you're passionate about, there is no shyness, there's no doubt about who you are or what you're able to do. And I've just taken things in my stride, you know, that's how it is. And you talk about Louise was here, and it was great seeing her and knowing that music is my thing, and I was dying to sing something, so I feel like I want to do it now.
Yeah.
L to the E to the V to the I, R to the O to the O to the T. Oh, yes, I am the best. I take off the S off Superman's chest. Anywhere you go to the east or west, you hear them say James Martin is the best. We don't have no competition, no contest. But Levi Roots and James, we are the best.
You've got to negotiate 25% fee for that. That's what it is. That hits the West End. You're dealing with a Yorkshireman now. You thought that was tough.
Right. And there we have it there. A lovely vegetable, and of course we've got our mixed and ready to do.
So these are the pastries that I've rolled out for you.
Pastry there, James, you've done a good job, man. That looks amazing.
Thank you. So what happens here then? We take some of this filling.
Yep, and you slap it on there.
I'll give you a spoon. There you go. You've got a spoon there.
Yeah, and maybe a knife as well.
Do you egg wash it as well or not?
Not the pastry itself. Okay. Yeah, you just egg wash around the edges, but not on.
Okay, just around the edges. So a little bit of egg wash.
Yep.
And then we got on there, this on here. Now, and also, last time you were on, there's a film, there's so many different things.
Yeah, I know the Levi Roots movie, which again is this thing that I wake up and thinking to myself, God, 16 years ago, I was struggling in Brixton and no one knew where I was, even though I didn't even know my own self. And here I am, 16 years later, talking about a movie, a multi-million-pound movie being made about my life, and a stage musical being launched in Edinburgh Fringe. It's just what dreams are made of. It really is. It's absolutely fantastic. May I have some of that egg?
Yes. You can have whatever egg you want. So I'm making I'm making the sort of fish version as well. The key to this is having the filling cooked, then I take it.
The filling's going to be cooked. And again, with the milk in there, it just gives it a nice, lovely texture. And your lime juice just gives you a nice, lovely feel to it.
So we've got that on there. And then and not overfill it, I take it, these ones as well.
Yeah. And I think the key thing is you have to remember is to make your ingredients cool first. So the key thing is just to let it really.
So you must have been to the Caribbean on your travels, haven't you, with all these hotels? Have you places you've been or not?
Not for the hotels, on a holiday, yeah.
On holiday?
Yeah, on a holiday.
But have you I remember, I go to the Caribbean quite a lot, fortunately. We got places out there, but when you go out, it's in a restaurant, but when you go out there, you stop off at the people who are just selling street food.
Yes.
Street food's unbelievable. And that Friday night, when you go to you go to all the capitals, but you go that, and the amount of atmosphere, music, but the food is such an attention.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. And the smells and the freshness of it. Because I think one thing the Caribbean is known for is that a lot of the food comes fresh.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important.
A lot of people just think it's just fish. It's not,
It's not. It's a lot of vegetables, especially now, Caribbean food has just really gone into a different stratosphere, and a lot of vegetarian stuff are being done.
So then we bake these at what, 200 degrees?
20 degrees, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then just keep an eye on it, and you don't need to turn them over or anything. They would just cook as
And before we get them out of the oven, as well as the food's important, the drink is important. Now, a lot of people are going to think, really? Are you going to serve it with this? What are you serving it with?
Yeah, I'm serving it with Guinness, with a nice pint of Guinness. Guinness, it's about, and I know...
I love this.
Monica was saying that this is a footy food, and like a man's lad's food. What would the women have?
So you're
That's what I would be having, is those pasties.
The pasties, yes.
So I'm going to leave the pouring of it to you. So
show us how it's done.
Because you tell me you sometimes turn this into cocktails as well.
I do, and it's really a proper thing. And if there's any Caribbean people watching, and there's loads of them watching your show, James, I know they'll be saying to me, Levi, this should be a Guinness punch. But I'm going to save that Guinness punch for the next time.
What goes into a Guinness punch?
On the show. It's nutmeg, it's cinnamon, it's vanilla, and it's condensed milk. And it's a sweetened version, a bit like a Baileys. It's a slightly bitter version of a Baileys, and it's just to die for.
Condensed milk.
Condensed milk.
Meanwhile, we'll take out.
So it doesn't even need to have the white bit on the top?
No, none at all, yeah.
I'll let you scoop them off onto there.
All right,
I'll hold them, and you can scoop them off.
Oh, that's amazing.
Amazing like this.
Look at that. And one of the reasons why I say it's footy food, because it's one of these foods that you can just pick up. There's no gravy or any kind of thing to get in the way.
Yeah.
You just pick up a patty and you just have it. People will eat this also with something called cocoa bread.
Right.
Which it's a massive bap that you just put the patty in, and then you just
put the patty in the bap.
In the bap. Yeah.
What? Is that a Scottish thing?
Yeah, cocoa bread. It's the old patty and cocoa bread, really popular within Caribbean takeaways.
There you go.
And I know people looking at this now are saying, yes, Levi. Go on, Levi.
Go on, Levi.
There you go.
Look
Cheers.
at them.
Yeah, cheers.
They look amazing, guys.
Chink. Cheers.
Chink.
Cheers, I'm
Oh,
still
you're
going.
there.
I'm still going. Yeah.
Chink.
Respect.
There we have it. So give us the name of this dish.
This is Jamaican patties, and it's a smoked haddock version and a sunny vegetable version.
They look beautiful.
Man is a superstar. Levi Roots, everybody. Right, I'll give you one of each. So there you go, fish one. Vegetable one. There you get to dive into these. I know you want to dive in, so you're just diving with your hands.
Yeah, because that's how you eat it.
Yeah. So just to let you know, I mean, just look at
that, and I'm gonna have it just like how I would have had it if I'm watching the footy.
It's hot.
Levi Roots, everybody. You need to learn to make that on a bulk level.
Yeah.
That is absolutely delicious, delicious. There you go. Right, still to come, we've got a masterclass in Yorkshire pudding, and Louise Redknapp will be enjoying a taste of Spain as they serve up a selection of tapas. And a load of dishes a little bit later. Are you happy with that? Look at that, Monica's just diving into
I'm good, guys.
But join us again after the break when we've got a master mixologist, Mr. Merlin Griffiths, will be giving us a crash course in making some stunning cocktails this summer. See you in a bit. This is delicious. Cheers. Welcome back. Now, I'll be chatting some more to Louise Redknapp a little bit later. We've got a masterclass in Yorkshire pudding with onion gravy coming your way next. But first, before all that, it's an honour to be joined at the house once again by one of the most knowledgeable bartenders in the business, who's a walking, talking encyclopedia of everything to do with cocktails, and that's before he has a drink. Wait till the after bit. It's Merlin Griffiths!
Thank you, James. Thank you.
Great to have you on. The guys are here as well. So you're interested. It's summer cocktails, this one.
This is, yeah, because summer's life in it. Look at the T-shirt you see.
Well, I got the memo. Yeah, exactly. So summer cocktails. You're going to do 3 for us.
Yes.
So first of all, what's the first one?
So I want to do a Bob Marley. This is super easy, right? Father's Day as well. This is good for that. This is good for when you're hanging out with your friends. You just want something quick to throw together. It's good when you're doing a barbecue, that sort of thing. And it's this beautiful bright orange colour.
What goes in a Bob Marley first of all?
And so I'm putting in there just over a measure of overproof Jamaican rum.
Okay.
I've got some vanilla liqueur from Portugal, liquor 43.
Levi's approving the rum already.
I'm trying to resist not to be singing one of Bob Marley's songs.
Oh, be my guest. Be my guest. I would love to hear
Didn't you play football? Didn't you play football with him?
He was a great footballer, absolutely. And I played with him.
I know you
played with him in Battersea Park when he used to live here in the UK.
I was thinking you're going to play with him in the Caribbean. You play with him in Battersea Park.
In Battersea Park, yeah, which is even better.
Right, so what have we got in here then? You've got the rum?
We've got the rum, we've got our liquor 43, we've got a little fresh lime juice as well, stop it getting too sweet.
Liquor 43, what is that?
So it's Portuguese vanilla.
Right.
Liqueur. Yeah, it goes wonderful in a coffee, a café corretto, for instance, as well. It's a beautiful thing. Excuse my fingers, but there we go. This ice is getting...
Tell you what, that's a bit serious, isn't it? That's...
Well, you need to share
lovely.
that.
You need to share that.
Really good.
Warm us up, James.
So Portuguese vanilla?
Yeah, vanilla liqueur. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, liquor 43.
Yeah. Easily.
Here we go. Something you probably haven't seen around for a while.
Yeah,
Ironbury to top for your Bob Marley. Okay. This is one of these drinks I file under bartender oddities.
Right.
Things like, for instance, I enjoy gin with Kinotto, for instance. Have you had Kinotto, the San Pellegrino Kinotto? It's a dark black, sort of bitter Coke-style thing from Italy.
I've never had one of these.
Gin. It's sort of slightly...
It looks like Fanta.
Cherry flavoured.
It looks like another
Right, there we go.
drink.
So we've got our lime in there, a couple more limes over the top, and you have, simple as that, that's a Bob Marley. So called because after one...
I know
You're like this. After one, you don't worry about a thing.
Yeah.
After one of these, you don't worry about a thing. Is that that was the punchline, was it?
It is. He's got it. He's got it. There you go.
Right, so that's this one. Where are we going? All musical theme as well.
Sort of, yeah, I thought, because again, you know, as well as the colours for summer, it's music, isn't it? Music is summer.
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
carnival season.
Yes.
Oh, that's a different thing altogether.
Oh.
Good. You like that?
Wow, that's a different thing altogether.
Yeah. And you know what?
Well,
I
don't
like...
hug it to yourself then.
So what have you got on here then?
So lemon juice, egg white. We've got a little bitters in there. This one's got a little more going on with it, OK? I'm putting in equal parts of gin. I've got to remember I'm making 2.
Yeah. So this is the Pink Floyd.
The Pink Floyd, that's right. We've got Gillette, which is another fortified, similar to vermouth, but it's a Gran Quinquina, so it's quinine is our big bittering agent here.
So where does this come from then? Because I mean, what I love about cocktails, they've all got histories, they've all come from bars around the world. Where does this originate from?
So gin fizz dates back time eternal. It's an old drink. The Corpse Reviver #2. Revivers were very popular in the 30s. The Corpse #2 that we sort of know, Savoy Hotel, 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, it was said that 1 would revive the corpse, and 2 would unrevive it again. So, you know, approach with moderation.
These barmen have got all the spiel, haven't they? They've got
There you go. And a
what is that you've just got in there?
teensiest dash of absinthe.
Absinthe.
So you get a little anise and it dries the whole drink through beautifully. Right, here we go. Let's get a little ice in our glass. Ready for this? And this I'm going to need to give a healthy shake to. There we go. Right. And the nice part, actually, about the fizzes is that you don't want a huge amount of ice. in these. You know, normally, you see me, I keep putting mountains, glacial amounts in these drinks. But this one, no, because what's going to happen with this, we're looking for the soda water at the end here to give it a nice sort of top.
I often want to ask, because we talked about chefs and what they love to eat. What does a barman like to drink? What's your favourite drink?
Don't know, what's open at 4 in the morning? Sort of when you finish, isn't it?
What's your well in bed by then.
If you go to any bar in the world, because you love your history with the drinks as well. If you could go to any bar in the world, and when you walk into a bar, that's the one.
Do you know what?
Would it be America, or...?
Would it be America? No, honestly, if I had to choose a country, Japan.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like going to another planet when you go to Japan. It really is. You've been?
No, I've never. It's on my list of places to go. And...
Yeah,
exactly.
We're going together.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. If I'm going to... Right, give that...
So I'm into this stuff. You've got amazing colour from this. This is the dried dragon fruit, is it?
Yes, that's freeze-dried dragon fruit, which will give us our pink for our...
Love it.
Pink Floyd. Look, and here we go. Look at that. Look at that vibrant colour. This is what we're after, and this is where dragon fruit proves its worth, not as an edible. But
so this was the Pink Floyd wasn't named after a band or anything like that. That's just the colour of this thing.
This is me making up drinks. This is what
This is honest, isn't it?
There you go. And I thought it'd be nice to run through that musical connection today. You see?
Right. Okay.
As long as the colour. I could have given it a boring name. I don't know.
Well, no. So what have we got in here now?
And now a little soda water over the top. Just drizzle that in, and you see, look, the mousse from the egg white fills you up nicely. I'll be honest, here's a lovely little thing you can do with these as well. If you've got the time and the patience, pop that in the freezer for about 3 or 4 minutes.
Right.
Come back to it with a little more soda slowly, and the top will lift out like a souffle, like a chimney. It's what we call a lift. It's a fantastic little thing. But I'm too impatient today. I want to get
You need your own show, pal. You need your own show.
We can talk.
I love it when he comes on because it's so fascinating. You learn stuff all the time.
There we go. Let's have a straw there.
And he brings all of his own kit. He's got bagfuls of stuff over here. So you get to taste into this one as well.
There we go. See where you go.
So I take it you don't stir it, do you? You drink from the bottom.
Drink from the bottom. You can stir it through as you get through. But and the look on this is amazing. Look, you get this lovely two-tone thing on there.
We'll put this online for you. This is magical.
I love that.
Oh, this is so good.
That.
It's magical.
This meets the Corpse Survivor.
And so tell me about the last one then, because this is the jitterbug.
The jitterbug, yeah. Right. So I just wanted to have a little bit of fun. Those big, bouncy, tropical fruit flavours. OK? It's based off a drink called a June bug. We used to serve hundreds of them in a club I worked at called the Velvet Room. You know, you used to see there, actually, on a Thursday night. We used to have Carl Cox for £5.
For a fiver?
For a fiver. He was our Thursday night ultimate bass. I know. Yeah, you wouldn't get that these days.
So this is coconut rum.
Coconut rum. OK. Banana liqueur. I'm using an Indonesian one here, actually, mainly for the colour. You can use a creme de banane, but you won't get the green on a creme de banane. You'll get yellow, and I wanted the real green. I wanted to boost our green. So Pisang Ambon, it's called. I know, pronounce that after one of these.
Precisely. That's just got... Wow, OK.
And one of my favourite ingredients is Midori melon in there. So you got your melon, coconut, rum, banana. It's remarkable to feel that.
You have to taste this. These are 3 different things I've never tasted before as well.
Yeah. Tell you what, my bag's going to be heavy leaving after today. Got myself a new knife.
My head will be heavy by the time I've done all this.
That's amazing as well, isn't it, really? People can get all this online as well.
You can really, really easily. I mean, you know, it sounds like trite and obvious. You can get everything online, but you actually can these days, honestly. So
what is that you've just put in?
So a little lemon juice, just to cut the sweetness, right? Because otherwise it would be very, very sweet. And to finish us off in this drink, I've got some good quality pineapple juice. Right. OK, I'm going to put a double.
So what is this? I mean, the jitterbug, is that based on a...
So based on the June bug, and I've added in...
What is a June bug? What is...
So the June bug is all of this minus the rum.
OK.
There we go. Right, ice in. So this one, back to our normal amounts. Get them out of ice. Give this a shake. With the pineapple in there, you'll see, again, we get a nice frothy top. Not quite like the eggs there, but it will be good enough. Right, I'm going to do it the other way around on that one, because I've got quite a lot in there today. I'm always so messy, you know, when I come to
well, it's fine. That's why we put you outside, because it's a lot easier.
Yeah, really.
To be honest with you.
Right, there we go. Give that a little rattle around, and we should get there. You can look at that. You get beautiful, bright green foam on there. We'll see in a minute when we...
just before, what do people use? What does this do? What are these for?
So that's for holding back your ice and bits and bobs. We call it a hawthorn strainer. Right. you've probably got three-piece shakers at home with like a little hat. So I use a two-piece, so it's a Boston style with a strainer.
So Boston style, two bits are sort of slightly bigger rather than the little tiny top.
Yeah, and it allows you to get more of a drink in there. It's just sort of what you grow up using. This is the standard for professional bar use. Look at the colour on that.
Is that the most serious bartender's tool or mixologist tool?
Yeah, this is what I mean. Bartenders will use Boston.
No, the most serious thing is coming up next. Is these things.
Oh yeah, come on, come on. It's summer. We need to. You remember these?
I love it. I love it.
There we go.
Do you still use the umbrellas, or are they gone now?
Use flamingos instead.
Oh, do you?
Because you see, umbrellas you can get, but yeah, I like the idea of come here, he's flying away. There we go. Let's have a cherry on a flamingo in each of those.
I love this.
Isn't that brilliant? You see, and it just brings that whole tropical sense back. There you go. Put you in that way. Lovely.
I think it's brilliant. I generally think it's brilliant as well. So
lovely.
Let's dive into this as well.
Lovely. One jitterbug. Beautiful, colourful drinks for summer. Very good. Honestly.
And then finally, we just put all the drinks there ready because you just want to end this with
oh wow,
with a little bit of this. So
hopefully,
good. You can taste the coconut.
There we go. It's not complete without some sparkling. It's summer.
I think that is... How good is that one? Merlin Griffiths, everybody!
Thank you.
Superstar, that man. Right, Monica will be firing up the stoves. That's coming up next. And there's still loads more to come from my guest, Louise Redknapp. But I'll see you after the break in the kitchen for an unmissable masterclass in Yorkshire puddings with onion gravy. Clear this lot up, please. Where's my cloth? Welcome back. Now, Monica Galetti will be working her magic in the kitchen. That'll be coming up next. And I'll be chatting some more to Louise Redknapp at the end of the show. But first, it's time for this week's little masterclass. And I thought I'd show you how to make a step-by-step guide in making the classic Yorkshire pudding. With onion gravy, that is. Not a sauce, it's gravy where I come from. So the first thing we're going to do is actually do the gravy side of it first of all. And we're going to start off with some normal white onions. You can use shallots for this as well if you want, but white onions, I think, is the key to it. So we're just going to thinly slice these, hot pan, and start to colour these down to go with our Yorkshire pudding. So nice and thin, like that. Just a couple of onions will do, probably, for this. And then get some butter in the pan. You can start this off in oil if you wanted to, but a little bit of butter. You can use half and half. But remember, this is all going to be part of the dish as well. So if you put oil in the pan, it's going to be oil in the sauce. So we always put a little bit of butter in. Or you can use dripping, which we, of course, use for your Yorkshire puddings as well. So a little bit. Make sure the onions are nice and thin. And we cook these. I class these as sort of... I remember my granny used to make our Yorkshire puddings and onion gravy when I first tried this as a young kid. And I just remember the onions used to taste like fairground onions. You know, the hot dog onions. Those ones with a little bite to it. Some caramelised more than others, some raw. They're fairground onions, as I call it, really. So that's going to fry off nicely in here to get a little bit of colour in there. And then I'm going to add the liquid part of that in a minute, but we're going to get some nice bit of colour in it. So, on to our Yorkshire pudding. So, first thing we do is we're going to get our trays. Now, these are well used. Obviously, living in this house, they're well used. And then we think about our fat that's going to go in here. Now, you don't want to use any fat that's going to burn. And things like rapeseed oil will burn. Things like butter will burn. Don't use anything like olive oil in that. Olive oil has no place in Yorkshire pudding at all. And for this, I just use dripping, but you can use a little bit of duck fat if you wanted to. This is where times have changed. My mother's now searching for duck fat in the supermarket. She never used to do that when I was a kid. But it used to be a little bit of dripping, like that. And just pop these into the moulds. Now, these moulds are quite handy because they don't stick. If you're using the tins, then use a well-worn tin. I mean, I love all these old trays like this because this just get used all the time at the house. But I love all sort of stuff because it just doesn't stick and it's just well-worn and well-proven. Nice hot oven. You need to set the oven about 210 degrees centigrade. That's about 420, 430 Fahrenheit. Gas 7, gas 8. So quite a hot oven. We take the whole lot straight in there. Next, you see the onions starting to catch now, which is what we want. So these start to sort of caramelise down. You see that? It's the classic fairground onions, remember them? Those sort of that kind of stuff that we want. And then deglaze it means to just get rid of the gubbins from the bottom of the pan. See this, all this flavour stuck to the bottom of the pan? We can deglaze that with several different things. Now, I'm going to do sort of, again, this is my sort of mother's recipe for this. So we take a little bit of red wine, just a touch. And then we use a little bit of Madeira. So if you think of something like a French onion soup, that amazing flavour you get from a little bit of sherry or Madeira or a little bit, that kind of flavour, I think goes brilliantly with Yorkshire pudding. So we get some Madeira. You can flame this if you want, but as long as you burn off the alcohol, that's fine. Now we can add a touch of fresh thyme into this, which I'm just going to chop up. Now, particularly in the summer, thyme, you can chop it up with the stalks. In the winter with thyme, you've got to shred it from the stalks as the stalks firm up in the winter. They go a little bit woody, but these, in the summer, you can start to just chop the whole things up. There we go. So it's starting to reduce down. So you're reducing all this nice flavour with this stock. Now, you'll find this in supermarkets nowadays. This is, I mean, veal stock and beef stock. You'll find this sort of jellified stock. So if I just squeeze this out of here, you can see, look, you got this jelly. This is what we're looking for, this jellified stock. And when we add that to it, it creates sort of a very, very quick sort of sauce with this gravy, I should say. Look. So you squeeze that in there. Another one. To show you inside here. It's jellified. You see that? That sort of texture. You can pop all that into there. A couple of bags like this. And as we reduce this down, all this sort of gubbins from the bottom of the pan starts to come off and you've got this amazing sort of sauce. And what we want to do now is reduce this down. Meanwhile, we can concentrate on our Yorkshire puddings. Now, this recipe has not changed since my granny, God bless her cottons, was alive. And I've still got her old cookery books and I still use this Yorkshire pudding recipe to this day because I just think it's faultless. So we start off with 8 ounces of plain flour and 8 medium-sized eggs. So these go into our bowl. Now, it may appear a lot of eggs, but we're making a lot of Yorkshire pudding. So if you want to half this recipe, by all means, but 8 eggs, 8 ounces of flour and a pint of milk. Now, when you're doing this, it is important, however, to make this the day before. So although I've got don't put the pan of dripping in the day before, it's not a good idea. But I'm just saying that because Matt, the cameraman, may just do that. But you see, you then start off with this mixture, and you must do it the day before. So a bit of salt and pepper, like that. You can see the sauce is reducing down nicely, which is fine. As it's bubbling away, it starts to reduce down. And then we can incorporate the full-fat milk with this and mix this all together, like that. Now, what you're looking at is a mixture. Don't worry about this by having little bits of lumps in it. Don't worry about it. Because what you want to do is just mix this enough. One thing you don't want to be doing with Yorkshire pudding is over-mixing it, because if you think of it like a cake, if we over-mix it, it's going to toughen up the gluten in the flour. And when it toughens it all up, it shrinks back and a Yorkshire pudding will collapse, or it won't rise as much. So what you want to do for this is do 2 things to help it rise, one of which is mix it less, that's why we always do this by hand, and the other one is pop it in the fridge and let it rest overnight. So once we got the mixture to that stage, like that, then what you want to do is pop this in the fridge. Now, this is the crucial bit, I think, with Yorkshire pudding. What you don't want to be doing is using this straight away. You can do it straight away, but it was not going to rise anywhere near as much as if you keep it in the fridge. So I'll just leave that there so you can see the difference between the 2 mixtures that we've got over here. But this is one that's been in the fridge overnight. Now, you can see it doesn't look the most appetising thing in the world. It looks sort of used dishwater, really, this. And the texture is very, very different. If I look at that, it's like weird texture. So what we want to do with that is then take this and then mix it. But when we do in this stage, we be really, really careful not to over-mix it again. Because remember, you've allowed it to rest. So the very, very last thing you want to do with this is really beat it. because it's just going to toughen up the mixture again. I'm putting it in a big bowl because you can see it as we mix this all up. But you can see it almost looks like it's separated. You've got the liquid on the top, the gubbins at the bottom. So just give it a quick mix like this. And this will bring all the mixture together, which is there. Now, once you go through these stages, if you've got this mixture right and you've got the hot tray right, the oven temperature right, you're 90% of the way there, trust me. Yorkshire puddings will be foolproof from then on. So then you can do is get your hot tray with your dripping, like that. And then you just pour this mixture into your hot tray, and it should go tss, 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 tss. That sort of noise. Tss, like this. And you pour this in. Now, it's important when you're doing this to sort of spread the trays out, so don't put them too close together, because usually these centre ones don't cook. So have a little bit of separation in the tray we've got in there, but you can just pop them in like that. Weirdly in this stuff, you can blame my granny for this, but it always makes 11. I don't know why, but it always used to. Or it made 4 big ones, because whenever we had this at home, we used to have a large Yorkshire pudding to start with onion gravy, and then you'd have another one with your main course with your beef in it. So you'd end up with 2, and then the remaining bits of Yorkshire pudding you'd have with honey and jam when you were comatose on the sofa for eating too much. But then, take the entire lot then, and then transfer it to the oven. So this is the crucial bit, is when it goes in the oven, don't open the oven door. Don't open the oven door for at least 40 minutes, 45 minutes. That's the key to it. There's a little bit of space when you're going to cook them, like that, but these are going to go straight in there. Nice hot oven. That's going to go straight in. And just leave it. So the sauce is reducing it down nicely, and then we can get these plates. Now, we've got some that have been in the oven. Look at that. I was always taught as a young kid never to eat anything bigger than your head. This is the exception of the rule. Look, you take your Yorkshire pudding like that. Look at them. Look at them. Beauties. Leave those to one side. Just leave them in the mould like that. Like that. And then we can grab our nice little bit of sauce or gravy. A lovely bit of gravy over the top. And there we have it. Yorkshire pudding a la home. Having said that, if we were really at home, that would be a petit four. This is how we eat it normally. You'd have one of these to start with, then you'd eat that, you'd have another one for main course, and then when you're eating that, then you'd have another one in the afternoon while you sat there with jam and cream. That is a Yorkshire pudding. There we go. They're only interested because they want to try it. Now, if you'd like to learn anything in a little masterclass, then do get in touch with me, see if we can help out right here on the show. We'll be, of course, back in September. Time now for a quick break, but join me again in a couple of minutes when Monica Galetti will be wowing us a dish with aubergines. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now, we're serving up a show-stopping selection of tapas for my guest, Louise Redknapp. That's coming up very shortly. But first, I'm here with Mr. Levi Roots, and together we're about to taste a dish from a chef who cut her teeth in the kitchens of Le Gavaroche before opening her own restaurant and becoming a household name on MasterChef The Professionals. It's the brilliant Monica Galetti! Yay! Welcome back to the house.
I know, it's been a while.
It has been a while, exactly. So this dish, I'm going to say, I've nicked a little bit of one of these chickpeas. The dish already tastes amazing, even before it's fully made. What are you going to make?
I am making today a baked aubergine dish,
Okay.
which is then finished on the barbecue
Yeah.
with a whipped feta and garlic yogurt.
Okay.
And then the chickpeas, we're going to coat them in rosemary, chopped thyme, some paprika, toast them off in the oven so they're nice and crispy.
Sounds pretty good. So first of all, what you want to do is you're going to talk about the filling for the aubergine first. I'll move that to one side. So tell us how you prepare this.
So we got some feta, some Greek yogurt, and also some garlic, which you can also roast off at the same time that you're doing the aubergine.
Okay.
You know, and these are great. You can use them for dressings as well, but I'm actually going to help flavour the yogurt with it.
Okay. Now I know you're going to make that while I'm doing this.
Yes, please.
So now you're back on MasterChef Professionals. But tell everybody about your restaurant then, because you've got a beautiful, beautiful restaurant right in the heart of London.
Yeah, I mean, the restaurant is 6 years old. It's called Mary, after my mom.
Yeah.
So six...
Love mums.
Love mums. You know, mum is the one that taught us the foundation of cooking, you know, sort of growing up. So sadly, she didn't get to see it, but it's doing well. Great team. You know, and of course getting through the pandemic with everyone, you know, we went through making the boxes and that just to keep the team going as
you
well.
had to diversify so much. I remember, you know, I mean, it's going to be one of the things that you remember to keep the business going. You have to diversify so much.
Absolutely, you know, and it's just so wonderful, to, you know, to have the team back in.
Exactly. So you just put it all in the blender.
All in the blender.
So just to recap what you've got in there again?
In the blender, I've got the feta, the Greek yogurt, and a few of the cooked garlic cloves. I'm dropping a bit of olive oil as well.
Can I ask you, Monica, about
Yes.
the aubergine? And because I know in the Caribbean, and especially my country in Jamaica, we refer to it as a garden egg. And it's used a lot in Ital cooking, which is the Rastaman's version of how they cook. What is this known in Somalia? What do you call it?
Yeah,
what do you call the
Samoa,
aubergine?
we know why we call it Isla Elu, which kind of means
You
Israel.
say elu. Elu.
Really?
Yeah, Isla Elu.
Elu.
That's how we call it.
I like
but
that.
you know, it's more the longer, thinner ones as
Yes.
the ones we have. You know, and we sort of, you know, just cut them up or straight onto the fire is how we would do it at home as well. Well,
Amazing.
at home I say Samoa.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I've got to get a bowl ready for these chickpeas because these are amazing. I've got to learn how to do these because these are spectacular, these chickpeas over
It's
here.
delicious.
Do it.
Happy with that? Looks delicious.
Oh yeah.
Happy with that?
Should we put it in a?
I can put it in another bowl.
Oh, I'll let you do that, and I can do the chickpeas.
There you go. I've sliced them. We'll get them out of the way. So tell us about these chickpeas then, because these are unbelievable.
These chickpeas is also such a great snack on their own with how we have it. So if I'm making this at home, I kind of need to hide them from my daughter.
Right.
You know, but it's such a great snack. So literally into a bowl, got some rosemary here. From your garden, James?
It is actually, yeah. It is on the
Nice.
thyme as well. So
Yeah.
tell me about your other shows that you're doing as well, because one of the things that talk about a lucky job. If you're going to do anything and you get to travel around the world,
Hey.
eating, drinking, and going visiting all these amazing hotels.
That's what dreams
It's
are made of.
amazing hotels around the world. It's a hard life, isn't it, really?
Yes, someone's got to do
Right.
it, you know, and if it has to be me, or rather me than you, James.
Exactly. But you've been to some amazing places. I remember seeing the one with that giraffe that just...
The Giraffe Manor, fantastic, wasn't it?
Those people who haven't seen that, they just peer through the window while you're having breakfast. And
Yeah,
stuff.
you give you a kiss, and I love travel, and of course, James, you know, like you do, learning about different cultures and food, and also, so it's my two loves.
Oh, it's a fantastic job. So, we got to tell us what's happening over here with this.
So
because
I've just put a
these
bit
are
of thyme.
amazing.
I've just put a thyme in there, and some
Yeah.
chopped rosemary as well.
So these are just chickpeas that you have
Out of a tin.
Tin that you
Out
drain
of the tin,
off.
you drain them off, and you know the chickpea, the aquafaba, the liquid, you know, that can be used as well if you're that way inclined to using plant-based for mayonnaise even, or, you know, a meringue base on that if you want.
I've seen people make meringue out of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Chickpea water.
Yeah, it does work.
Yeah.
So some paprika as well.
Is that the smoked paprika or the...
This is the sweet.
Okay.
Yeah, the sweet stuff. I had a microplane here.
Yeah. So this is a variant of a dish that you've got in the restaurant, then, is it?
Yes, yeah. We do the aubergine dish at the restaurant, but,
Okay.
you know, chef-wise, you know, things get dehydrated and roasted off in ovens and just take
you make
time.
it you make it fancier.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go to a restaurant.
Roundabout way of putting it.
We're going to go to a restaurant.
If you want the real thing, you've got to go to the restaurant.
Yeah, that's what she said.
You know, this is my take on it that I know we would have at home. We definitely have at home.
Yeah.
And it's so good, honestly. It's so good. My
It is.
father-in-law, who can't stand vegetables, you know,
Right.
loves this, you know, so that's saying something that he would eat a whole aubergine. Okay, just like that.
I
Mix
love
it
that.
through.
That looks amazing.
They taste unbelievable, these. So then what do you do?
Into the oven for about 15, 17 minutes.
180, something like that?
Yeah,
So-
on 180.
And then we got some that these have just coming out now. Go on, go on. You didn't see that. You didn't see that.
James, you didn't put the balsamic on.
Yes, I'm doing that, boss. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Yeah. So we've got that.
I love the crunch to it.
You want a little bit of this on it as well? A little bit of
Yep.
balsamic.
Balsamic on there. We're pretty much.
Okay. And then we've got to
about
finish off these
finish the
aubergines now.
aubergine. Yeah. So
Right.
those are nice and crispy.
Yeah.
And you can see.
It is like a steak,
lovely,
yeah.
Straight on.
I love when anything goes on the barbecue. It's just to hear that sizzle.
Yeah, exactly.
It's anticipation, isn't it? Yeah.
There you go. We'll leave that to one side. Meanwhile, we've got a cloth over here. You want me to keep my... I'll keep my eye on this one as well. So this just gets a nice little bit of colour on one side.
Yeah, and it's just to bring the
Okay, so
flavours
tell
of
everybody about white
of
balsamic,
the
because
grill.
they've seen balsamic vinegar before, but but you can buy this in the supermarket.
Yeah, you can buy it, and it's a great way if you want to bring a bit of acidity, sweetness to veg and that, and you just sort of let it sit a bit and it's done. Just quickly,
it's an
quickly.
instant pickle,
Yeah,
isn't it, really?
Instant pickle, it's done.
Yeah.
So instant that my husband can do it.
I bet he's not watching.
So we got our plates.
Are we doing two?
Well, we've got to do two, haven't we?
Yeah, I'm
really?
here. You forget.
All right, on there.
And I'm
Yeah,
hungry.
do two.
On here?
Yeah, wherever you want, yeah. So what kind of food have you got in the restaurant then? Just so people, if they come in to visit, because it's not, you know...
Absolutely, but, you know...
Do you take influence from, I mean, Samoa and stuff like that? Can you do that in that kind of...
You know, there's always going to be coconut milk. There are coconut somewhere on the menu. You know,
Yeah.
if it doesn't make it onto the starter, but for sure it's going on the desserts as well. There's some flavours of it. I use a chocolate that my father sends me from Samoa as well. It's 100%, and it's so bitter that we normally use it as a hot chocolate drink. You know, we make
Right.
it, you know, as a drink. So I use it and I grate it over a dessert, a hokey pokey dessert that I have, which has been on the menu since I've opened it. And I literally can't take it off because people will complain. So I'm just going to take the end off here. It smells great,
And it's
doesn't it?
amazing that that people are going to be watching this. There's no salt, no pepper, no oil. You don't need any of that.
It
You've
was
got
just
so
at
much-
the end.
Yeah.
It was just at the end, the salt and the olive oil at the end. And then I'm just going to get a spatula. I've forgotten where everything is. I've been away for so long.
Spatula, here. Use that. There
Oh,
you go.
that would do.
Yeah.
So straight onto the plate.
There you go. So what do you do with aubergines in the Caribbean?
Yeah, we steam it, and also within stir fry as well too. But
Right.
yeah, it's quite used a lot in the Caribbean.
You don't want to be shy with this.
And the whipping it up just makes it nice and light.
Yes, that's what you want. Like I say, the one we do, it takes much longer, and it's about 24 hours to make. And this
Couldn't be bothered to do that today,
No,
clearly.
no, James. Well, all right. We got our
Yeah.
these chickpeas. And you want to be generous with the chickpeas because it's got texture in it, and they are delicious. So.
And so simple to make. I didn't, you know, that's the great thing about those. They're just
But I think
so delicious.
it is that, isn't it? When you're a chef, you go home, you want sort of, you know, similar flavours.
Yeah.
But I don't want to spend hours in the kitchen. And even better, I teach my husband how to make it, and he'll do it next time.
There's a theme throughout this cook, and I think...
I love this, Monica, because I think for people who are trying to look for meat-free days or something that makes them feel like they're actually having meat, I think this is an absolutely amazing choice,
And then you've got a selection of different herbs at the end of it. You've got a little bit of coriander.
There's coriander, things that I know work, you know, with aubergine. So, you know, if you're going to put it on, it has to make sense. And some bronze fennel as well. You know, it's just a little sprinkle of those on top. And look, and that's so easy to then chef it up. A little bit of herbs, a little bit of corn flour on there. And they say, Bob's your uncle.
Is that what they say?
Something like that.
Well, they say another thing afterwards.
I know.
But we can't mention that on the
Saturday. That's kitchen talk.
Exactly. So give us the name of this dish.
And then we have it, our baked aubergine with whipped feta and yogurt with crispy chickpeas.
Monica Galetti, everybody. Right, sir, there we have it. Go on then, dive in. I'm looking forward to this, because this is
Right in there.
these chickpeas.
Oh, Monica. Lord of
That's a
mercy.
brilliant dish.
Oh,
The honey works at the end, though.
it does.
It needs, I think it really needs a bit of sweetness at the end.
That's great. There we have it. Monica Galetti, everybody. Right, we've still got time for one more final course, so join us again after the break when I'll be rusting up 3 fantastic tapas dishes for her husband. And Louise Redknapp. I'll see you after the break. Welcome back. I'm back in the kitchen with all my guests, the brilliant Monica Galetti, Levi Roots, and Louise Redknapp. And I know you're a big fan. We're talking about Mediterranean food.
Yes.
I thought, with the help of this lady over here, because she's a genius, I thought we'd do, me and Monica would do you a selection of different tapas.
Oh, I love
Spanish tapas. We're
Love
going
it.
to do classic sort of croquetas, really, really simple. And we do that classic tomatoes on toast, but the way that the lovely
Amazing.
Spanish only do it, with a little bit of garlic, some extra virgin olive oil, and then a classic romesco sauce, which is bread, wood-roasted peppers, almonds, tomatoes, a little bit of oregano, sherry vinegar, and we serve that with some beautiful sardines on toast as well.
Fab.
So the first thing we're going to do is with the croquetas, which I'm going to get you started with this. If you can get the flour, egg and breadcrumb set up, if that would be
Sure.
great, Monica. So
Got it.
for this one, so the croquetas, you've got to think about this as like a bechamel, like a roux.
Yep.
We start off with some butter in the pan over here, and then you can flavour that with whatever you want. I've got some beautiful sort of Spanish smoked paprika over here. Sweet or the hot, it's entirely up to you, but that's going to go in there. Then we add the flour. Now, there's far more flour than there is normally in a conventional roux. You'll see that as I'm mixing it. And then gradually, we add the milk. So you can keep adding this milk now, a little bit at a time. Now, when we were talking earlier, we talked about all the stuff you were doing, your album, but we failed to mention the album, first of all. The album is called...
I'm trying not to laugh.
Don't you laugh at me.
So we failed to mention the album. So this is the album. This is your greatest hits album. This is your... Because you're celebrating 30 years in the industry.
Yep, 30 years. So it's...
People are going to be watching this, can't believe it's 30 years.
30 years ago.
30 years ago.
Feeling a bit old
Well, I
now.
saw you were singing it earlier.
I know.
Yeah, Monica was having a good old sing. It was lovely. Yeah, just a step from heaven over there.
But isn't it amazing how music brings back a certain moment in time, and you remember, you look back and you think, really, was it 30 years ago?
No.
It's incredible.
I feel like people are
Few years
really
ago.
enjoying the kind of nostalgic element to music at the moment. I don't know for what reason, but I feel that 30 years ago we did sort of view music slightly differently. Like, we invested in the album, we went to the shops, we bought it. Where now it's all so accessible that 30 years ago, going and buying an album, you kind of remember where you was and maybe where you used to shop to buy your music. It's just different times.
And you had to put in a machine called a tape machine, and every Sunday you used to be there pressing
Sit record.
pause. Do you remember that? Exactly. For the charts.
It's actually nice. Vinyl's really popular. I think I sell sort of a lot of vinyl now.
But it still is. It's now coming back to the fore, isn't it?
People
Really?
just want something. Listen, we all sort of do the streaming and downloading music, but I think, you know, this, especially the greatest hits, it's about having that physical and reading everything about it. And I know I love to now go and get a vinyl if I can, just to have it.
Now, we mentioned as well about the West End, because currently you're busy in the West End at the moment.
Yes.
Tell us about what you're doing at the moment, because this is an amazing play. This is Arlene Phillips doing her magic.
Yeah,
as she does.
it's the Dominion's a great theatre and a big theatre, and I love the way that Nikolai, Arlene, everybody's just put a real different take on Greece. So they brought it very much, so it's still Greece as we know it, but it's got a much more modern feel. And I'm actually playing, not Sandy, you'll all be relieved to know. 20 years too old for that one. But, yeah, so I'm playing Teen Angel, which is the first time the part's ever been played by a woman.
Right.
So when they sort of come to me and said, would you be up for playing Teen Angel? I mean, in the film, it was always played by a man, I think, whenever the show's been, you know, put out before. So it's kind of nice doing my own thing with it and my own take on Teen Angel. It's slightly different, but really good fun. I'm not on stage for loads through the evening, so I feel sometimes a bit guilty, like I should be working harder, but it's such a fun show. Yes,
Look, I can see you got your eye on what's going on here. This is the romesco. So we've got the fried bread, we've got the oregano, the tomatoes have gone in there, the wood-roasted peppers, and then you blend it all together.
Okay.
And you take a good glug of olive oil, and then this stuff. This is sherry vinegar. This is amazing. Anything with tomatoes to bulk it up.
So this is going to be like a paste?
Yeah, a little bit of sherry vinegar. Salt and pepper. It's actually like a pesto-y sort of thing, so you think of that more like
it's so good.
It's nice because you have the textures of the almonds.
I was so busy talking, I feel like I missed parts of it.
So a bit of salt, a bit of pepper, some black pepper. Meanwhile, my bread's happening over here, and then all we do with the romesco, you can add a little bit of lemon, and that will be the end of that. But I've got to talk about another thing. You mentioned something recently that people are going to be thinking. And I genuinely I got asked to do this show, and I'm thinking, you're brave doing that, very brave. And particularly, well, I wasn't going to do it anyway, but the mass dancer.
Yeah.
You did the mass dancer?
No, I didn't do it.
He was asking me about it.
The amount of people on social media, he's the potato. I'm not the potato. I may look like a potato, but I'm not the potato.
He's
all right?
the potato.
But you were the flamingo.
It was really hard. I mean, I love to dance, and it was great fun, and you know the work that goes into it. But I really struggled to dance. My costume made me about 7 foot tall with a massive
Was it hot in the
beak.
costume? How did you feel in
I couldn't move my head, so when I turned my head, I couldn't
beak
see
was
that
still-
the open bit was there. So I was just...
Levi, did you know what she was wearing?
No.
It's like a 7 foot.
It was a 7 foot
8 foot flamingo.
with a massive beak, which was like, yeah, it was a challenge, but great fun. And I mean, they do a great job with those costumes and the work that goes into it. But yeah, it was tough.
But what do you must have the kids. You must have got that away from everyone. How do you keep that a secret and all that kind of stuff?
Do you know, so the older one, you know, he sort of took no notice at all. And I did make the young one, he's 14, and I did sort of have it on and asked him to sit in the lounge with me to watch it because you pre-film it. And when I took the mask off and they saw it was me, he just got up and walked out the room, shook his head and was like, really? Like, really?
I love that. He walked out.
Yeah, my kids are so unimpressed with what I do for a living. It's just like, you know, I'm just their mum. That's about it.
Well, you're amazing. I remember you guys, you know, from your Eternal Day, and it was that time of the girl power type thing, and I think you guys answered that question in those. Lots of girl bands were around at the time, not so much now.
Yeah.
That's why we're grateful for your new album.
Do you know
Well, it was a moment in
Thank
time, you know, because there was that Spice Girls. It was a moment in time.
You know, it really was. I think the music industry in the 90s was just so powerful. It really did have a lot of amazing artists around that time. And I'm so grateful that I ever got to be part of a group like Eternal. It was.
But what about that
great
decision
band.
to go solo as well? Because that's a big decision.
Yeah, it's always hard to do something like that. And I think, you know, it's been well documented. For me, it was like just personal life. It was tough touring always with a band and everybody being on the same time schedule and what we wanted to do in the future. And sometimes sort of different opportunities arise. And yeah, I I never had any plans on being a solo artist. It wasn't something, I just wanted a bit of a break. I was very young, toured a lot. I was a bit homesick, I'm not going to lie. My mum's over there, she can vouch for me. I felt the need to spend a bit of time at home. I was very young, and the record label sort of said, would you be up for honouring your 5-album contract still? And so, okay,
Yeah.
and there it was, yeah, and I did. So I've been really fortunate that I've had a lot of really great support throughout the years in music. So
Doing great. It's great to see you again at the house as well. But look, I'm just going to get my sardines, which have been cooking. So sardines take seconds to cook like that. They're now ready.
Oh, they smell gorgeous.
Yeah, sardines are amazing. Straight out of the grill like that. And you can take your sardines over your romesco, which you've got on there.
It's good to see sardines like this because a lot of people just use the tin ones.
yeah.
So to see it in its natural form and done
Flavour of
properly.
this, though, as you
amazing.
know.
Really good.
The flavour of this is amazing when you get like this. And then all you do with this, you get the pulp, which is here. You can utilise this juice as well. Don't throw this away because it's brilliant for all manner of different sort of stuff. And then with the pulp, well, I'll just give you a little bit while Monica's doing the 15,000 cricketter, which we've got over here. So, because I know you won't fill it up because you are, you know, you've got grease on and everything else. There we go, a little bit of that. Then you get to have a little taste.
Amazing. Thank you.
Meanwhile,
so
I'll go
much,
back over to our little cricketers.
I think it's a one go, isn't it? It's,
I reckon we're just
it's
going to
a
go
one
for
so
it,
after
Levi.
3, 1, 2, 3.
Happy with that, Chief?
The last one on there, it's sort of
Was all right?
really hot, that one. Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
So good, right?
Happy with that?
We went
Good.
all in one there.
There you go. So there you have it. So your tomatoes on toast, your lovely little croquettes, and your grilled sardines with a nice little romesco sauce. Done. Right, there you go. You've got to have a little taste of this. I'm just going to give you that bit on there, but you can have a taste of this one, the little tomatoes on toast.
Amazing.
You've got the romesco with the sardines. You've got to dive into that one. You've got the nice little croquettes. I'll leave you that one. And you can dive into those. But bon appetit.
Thank
dive
you.
in,
I'm
dive
going to
in.
dive in for it.
I'll get you a little knife and you can... But, I mean,
Got
tomatoes
him
like
with the
this.
fingers, Levi. I've got in.
But they're the idea with the croquettes. When you sort of open them up, look, you get this...
Nice and runny.
this prawn gooiness in the centre as well. But
That is so good.
it's nice that you put some ham in it. You can put... Yeah.
Lovely.
So good.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's it. That's all we've got time for today. A massive thank you to all my guests. Stephanie Hardigan, Merlin Griffiths, Levi Roots, Monica Galetti, and, of course, the fabulous Louise Redknapp. That's it for today. And sadly, that's it for the entire series, in fact. Yes, that's it. And me and the crew will be back on your screens on Saturday mornings here in ITV1 in September, of course. Until then, have a great summer. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.